Your network is your net worth. Have you ever heard that before? It sounds kind of gross to me, actually. Your worth has nothing to do with who you know or who knows you. I believe that you and I and every one of us is made uniquely by God and are inherently valuable. No one can take that away from you, your inherent worth. However, I do agree with the underlying premise that to grow your business or in your life, you must grow the relationships in your network. So why isn't this metric measured in most businesses? Most businesses measure things like lifetime value or customer acquisition cost, gross margin, profit margin. But I learned a term the other day that I think every business and nonprofit ought to measure. And I'll tell you what it is today on the next Simple Step podcast. I'm Paul Goldsmith. ROI, or return on investment, is overrated. The most valuable metric in business is ROR, or return on relationship. I actually heard that term for the first time a few weeks ago at Strategic Coach's CoachCon. I joined Strategic Coach about 7 years ago thinking that I'm going to learn all these business skills and techniques, and those have come. But what I've learned matters the most from these other entrepreneurs further along on the journey than I am is that it's the power of your relationships that really help you go further. It's true. You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And they've cured me of being a rugged individualist. I didn't know any better. I grew up as an only child, and so I just learned to figure things out on my own and not get held up by anybody. And that worked fine until I became an entrepreneur and realized that I'd hit my ceiling pretty quickly. And if I wanted to grow the company, I really needed to form partnerships and collaborate with other people that have skills that complement my skills. And so the further I'm getting along in my entrepreneurial journey, I'm learning that to grow your business, you have to nurture your relationships. That didn't come intuitively to me because I really thought that the results were all that mattered. I own a gym, and so I assume if somebody comes there to lose weight or to gain strength, whatever their goal is, that is the most important thing. It is not the most important thing. People continue to work with other people whom they have the greatest relationships, how those businesses make them feel. And that's especially true when there's a downturn in the economy or just a slow season for your business. If you want to maintain the loyalty of your customers, you really have to double down on their experience. And this is especially true not just in business, but in the nonprofit sector, where my consulting company, Vidaire Creative, we help orgs big and small raise more money. And the donors to those nonprofits want to know that they're personally making an impact with their giving. It's not just about how awesome the organization is doing. They don't just want an annual report where the organization pats itself on the back on all the great things they're doing in the world. The donors want to know that they're truly needed and appreciated. Otherwise, they feel giver's remorse and stop giving. So whether you work for a nonprofit or for a business, if you're having a tough time with retention, I would really encourage you to get to know your customers better and find out how it is you make them feel. Why did they come to you in first place? And how can you reignite that relationship and make it an intentional part of your marketing plan? Better yet, create a relationship plan for your most valuable customers or clients. I've started doing this, and it is so important because you measure what matters. And if the relationship matters, you better measure it. And there's no better way to do that than to actually create a plan that you check on a weekly basis. Check in on your most valuable relationships. And I'm not saying that this is someone who has it all figured out. I'm just working on this myself and thought I would share. You may be laughing at me like, of course you have to protect the relationships. I mean, I deeply care about people, and I used to assume that everyone just knew that. But that was a poor assumption. Nobody knows how much you care until you show them consistently, repeatedly, over time. The more I think about it, it's exactly the same of your most personal relationships. You get to know the other person's deepest wants and needs and desires and fears, and you're there to encourage them, to support them, and remind them of how much you care. Not in a transactional, perfunctory way where you mail them a card on their birthday or a Christmas card, but you check in with them on a random Tuesday and ask them how it's going. And if they tell you about something, you remember it and ask them about it later. And so I saw this quote from Seth Godin that I think sums it up nicely. In the connection economy, trust and relationships are the new currency. It's not a soft thing you do in your spare time. It's the heart and soul of your business. I hope that encourages you. I would love to connect with you. You can reach out at nextsimplestep.com, or I'm Paul J. Goldsmith on Instagram and X, and I would truly like to get to know you better. So let me know a little bit about yourself and what you're working on. And as always, I'd encourage you to go for a run, get some sun, and don't forget to have fun. And I'll talk to you next time on the Next Simple Step podcast.